Hello everyone, my name is AJ, and I haven't come up with a good intro yet. Today I'm going to be designing Nightmare the 5th and Dream the 3rd. For those who don't know, I've been working on an Undertale fan series called Otherverse for a few years now. The story follows our main character, Nightmare the 5th, who I'll be calling Mary to make things a little less confusing. She is the current negativity outcode, which means she's basically the goddess of misery. The story follows her journey to restore balance to the multiverse and heal from her trauma with her found family. I was originally going to animate this series, but honestly, animation is so time consuming and difficult, and I don't know what I'm doing. I have animated, well, not full, I've storyboarded some bits of it, but I might not actually animate it anymore because it just takes so long and I'm not making any progress. I'm considering changing it into a novel instead, in the same style as I've done An Arrangement Was Made. So it's been on hiatus for a really long time. I kind of got tired of it for a while, but I don't want to give up on it. All of the previous characters that I've designed for this series so far were supposed to go in a prologue type thing to help the audience get introduced to the world. The majority of the series takes place many generations later. I thought it would be fitting to start the designing of our major characters with our main character herself, Mary. For those who have been keeping up with this series, you probably will have noticed that Mary's title has changed. She was originally Nightmare the 13th, but I've decided to drastically shorten the amount of time that's passed between the first Nightmare and modern day. Mary has had several designs over the years, but I finally landed on a final refined design. This first outfit will be how she appears for the majority of the series. The main base where Mary and her found family lives is in the ruin of the castle her ancestor used to own. In this castle, she is going to find a secret area that has remained unchanged since Nightmare's time. Here she will find the clothes she'll wear throughout the rest of the series, and also Nightmare's crown. The gems in the crown, when worn by its proper owner, will change to the color of their soul trait. For those who don't know, every character in Otherverse has a soul. The most present trait of their personality will be the color of their soul. For monsters, these soul traits will also have an effect on their magic. Mary's soul trait is stubbornness with flecks of spite. This means that her soul is starting to change from stubbornness to spite, which is a more negative trait. The difference between stubbornness and spite is that spite is stubbornness to the point where you are willing to make your own life worse just to stick it to the man. Because Nightmare the 5th is a negativity outcode, it is the responsibility of the royal family to protect, provide, and raise her to be good. It is widely believed that it is ingrained in the code of negativity outcodes to be evil from birth. This is a belief that Nirvana, the outcode that raised Mary, shared with most of his subjects. As such, he believed that certain more extreme measures needed to be taken to fix her. Even without all the stuff that she went through that I'm not going to get super into now, she still would have had a rough childhood. Growing up in a kingdom that treats you like you're evil or dangerous since you were a literal baby is going to be rough for anyone. Mary realized a long time ago that she would never be accepted by anyone ever. Rather than roll over and take it, she decided to dig her heels in and make everything as miserable an experience as possible. It usually ends badly for her, but at least she has the pleasure of being an annoying little prick that no one wants to deal with. I wanted to design her abilities as if they were going to be in a game. I had her powers set for a long time, but that was back when her soul trait was spite and hatred instead of spite and stubbornness. I will get to play around with black magic eventually, but for right now she's confined to purple. There is only one time that purple magic appears in the original Undertale game, and this is during the Muffet fight. Muffet uses her magic to turn your soul purple, which traps it to a few purple strands. When the player is trapped like this, they can move between the strands and side to side on them, but nowhere else. Mary will not be getting the same string attack, but she will get the ability to trap people. Her colored magic takes the form of a goo that leaks from her hands and feet. When she's drawing upon stubbornness to use it, the goo will be sticky, sweet-smelling, and edible when mixed with oil. If you touch it, you'll get stuck on whatever surface the goo is on. This includes people. You will be stuck there until someone pours oil on the goo, which will get rid of the stickiness. If it gets inside you without being mixed with oil, it could glue your mouth shut or cause blockages in your intestinal tract. This substance is also sticky for Mary, but only as much as she wants it to be so long as she focuses. The spite goo is the really bad stuff. Not only is it sticky, it's also acidic enough to burn. Spite magic is always dangerous, both for opponent and user. Depending on the skill of the magic user, it might not hurt at all, but there is also a possibility that it could hurt the user more than the opponent. Unfortunately for Mary, she has never used magic before, ever. Since she's considered evil and dangerous from literal birth, she has to wear a shackle around her spine that prevents her from using magic. She's going to get out of it eventually and be able to use magic, but it's not going to go well the first time. Since the place she's going to be in when she uses magic for the first time is such a miserable place, and she's had no experience with magic at all, she's not going to be able to control herself at all. She's going to end up hurting a lot of people and also herself. For those who don't know, negativity outcodes need negative emotions in order to survive. They literally breathe it. So having a lot of that nearby is going to give her a power boost. Some of you who watch both my has-been content and my Otherverse content will have noticed that she has a very similar scar pattern to my Adam redesign. I didn't realize this until a couple weeks after designing Adam. Mary had it first. Adam's is a little different. His scars are all deeper, and the one over his eye is larger, and it's shaped like a lightning bolt. The second outfit is what she'll appear in during the first episode. The biggest change is the addition of a hood. The hood is supposed to resemble that of a nun's. It's supposed to represent that she's repented from the sin of being alive and has fully converted to the morals of society. I also gave her a veil. She is intended to be arranged to someone of the king's choosing to continue her bloodline. This is to make certain that the royal family can always keep track of the negativity outcodes and make certain that they can't hurt anyone. The most of the rest of it is just a color swap. For colors, I chose white for purity, cream for hope, and light brown for wrath. Colors are almost always important in Otherverse. Only neutral colors like blacks, grays, and whites are used in a way that often doesn't have any meaning. The chart of colors and their meanings will be available in my Discord and also on my Patreon for free. Mary gets purity because she is currently unmarried. The color of hope represents the kingdom's hope that she won't give in to her darker impulses, and the brown of wrath was put there by the royal family to remind people that Mary can be dangerous and that it is not safe to get too close. I forgot to mention the colors of her main outfit, and I forgot to write that into the script. She has a light purple for spite, which is kind of obviously that's gonna be there. She has also got stubbornness. Also, it's pretty obvious why that's there. Stubbornness doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. I don't think she would ever be embarrassed or anything to put that on her outfit. The last purple that's there is for intelligence. Mary is a very intelligent person, she always has been, because since she doesn't have any friends or anything, the only thing to do is read and stuff. So she knows. She's one of the most intelligent characters in the series. Moving on to a completely different character, Dream the Third. He was originally Dream the 28th, but just like Mary, after growing up a bit, I realized it's a little silly for him to be that far removed from his ancestor, especially since the past between the first outcodes is so important for the story. Dream is also going to be getting 2 outfits. The first outfit I'm drawing will be the first form he will appear in. This is his prince form. I wanted this form to have a royal feel to it without upstaging the king's version he'll be getting later. I was having a little bit of trouble with it at first, so I actually did some sketches in real life during class to get a feel and silhouette right without worrying about making it look good for YouTube. The final outfit I landed on was this one. Dream has always had this metal thing around his waist. I've used it to emphasize just how skinny he is. Obviously, he's a skeleton, just like the majority of the cast is, but I really wanted to emphasize just how dainty and light he is. He'll keep this metal part in both outfits, so I added it as part of the base. For the actual outfit, he gets a shoulder cloak, some puffy pants, a black bodysuit under all of it, and a hood. I've never given him a hood before, but I really liked how it looked in the sketch, so I went with it. I think it also gives him more visual ties to Mary, which I really liked. The biggest change that I made to his design is that he no longer has bird wings. I wanted both negativity outcodes and positivity outcodes to have more ties to their plant origins. Positivity outcodes get wings made either of petals or leaves. Negativity outcodes get tentacles made either from vines or branches. So, alas, my favorite part of the design, the bird wings, had to go. I instead gave him wings that resemble a butterfly's made out of apple leaves. I was going to make them out of petals, but I didn't love the shape of apple petals, so leaves instead. When he's a prince, they're kind of small since he hasn't eaten the apple that will give him his full power yet. He can't fly with them, but he can glide and jump higher with them. I also gave him a very simple halo floating above his head. For colors, I chose cream for hope, brown for confidence, and milk yellow for balance. Black is used only as a neutral color here. They're not super extravagant colors, but that's on purpose. Dream's outfit is so plain to draw more attention to his wings. His wings are the colors of his soul trait, hope, and determination. Dream used to have optimism instead of hope, but I switched it since the colors of hope and optimism are so similar, and the traits themselves aren't that different. I thought he looked better with hope as the soul trait anyway, since I didn't have to use quite as many colors. Determination is not a normal soul trait for a monster. In the original Undertale game, monsters injected with determination are much stronger than regular monsters, but they're also deformed. They're called the amalgamates. They were accidentally created by Alphys when she was trying to artificially create a human soul. She injected fallen monsters with determination, but they melted and fused together and could not be separated. Monster bodies just can't handle determination. They don't have the physical material to be able to handle it. So why does Dream not only have determination, but enough of it to make it one of his soul traits? Dream was born very sick and weak. He was going to die. Obviously, a child's death is really bad for everyone, but it's especially bad because Dream was born a positivity outcode. If he died without an heir, the next positivity outcode would spawn somewhere completely random and the royal bloodline would be lost forever. So his parents took a calculated risk. Their scientists injected him with very small increments of determination until he was stable enough to survive. It wasn't a perfect operation though. They came out with a very melty baby. He had to be fused with the code of several humans and a couple different monsters to stabilize his physical body. After that though, he was able to live a fairly normal life. Is what I would say if Dream's parents were normal. No, instead he lived an extremely sheltered life confined within the walls of the castle. A detail I included to hint to that is his lack of shoes. His toes and heels are out because he's never touched a rough surface before. I think this is another good reason why the hood is a necessary part of his prince design, because it gives him ties to Mary's first design as well. They're both kind of birds stuck in gilded cages that they can't get out of. Obviously, Dream's life is a lot better because he actually has people in his life that love him, but he's still trapped too. The way that I posed him in these drawings makes him look very serene and graceful, which he is whenever he's behaving himself. When he doesn't have to act like a prince though, he's completely restless. He wants to get out into the world and have fun. When he's allowed to be himself, which is usually only with Mary, he is a barely contained ball of energy. Dream's parents really want him to be serene and calm because if he experiences any extreme emotion, positive or negative, he will start to melt and deform. If that happens, he either has to shape himself back into place before the emotion wears off and he solidifies, or he has to get a bone marrow transfusion and get resculpted by the royal scientists, which is a huge pain for everyone. Dream's parents also want the kingdom to think that Dream is completely normal. Having something like a melty baby around, it's a little embarrassing for them. They're embarrassed by their disabled son, so they want him to squish everything down and pretend like he's a normal person. He's also so delicate that they want to keep him safe from literally everyone and everything, so he hasn't had very many experiences at all. Now for his king outfit. This is how he'll appear for the majority of the series. By the time that he gets this outfit, he has eaten his apple and he is at his most powerful. His wings are going to be much larger and he will be able to fully fly with them. For his new outfit, he gets a shoulder cloak similar to his old one, but this time with a hood made out of leaves. The leaves are real, by the way. So much magic emanates for Dream in this form that it can keep the leaves alive even though they're not attached to anything. Having the leaves around is also beneficial for him because it makes it easier for him to reabsorb his lost magic. In his old designs, he always had a coat with a big flared out cape, and I decided to keep that in the final. I changed it from a cape to more of a half skirt secured in place by his metal piece. This skirt is also completely filled with leaves to help him with the losing magic thing, and also because fashion. I did change his halo a lot from his old designs. It used to be a diamond shape with little bits coming off it, and it was like that for a very long time. I've changed it to be a circle floating behind him, styled to look like the sun. Positivity outcodes are heavily associated with the sun, so I thought it would fit better than the star motifs I was working with from before. I did keep some of the star motifs around. The stars are important, just not as important as the sun. For colors, I of course kept hope, made balance a more prevalent color, kept black as a neutral color, and added green for kindness. People want a kind leader, so having leaves in that specific shape of green is perfect to convey how kind of a king Dream is supposed to be. Balance is featured more heavily, also for very similar symbolic reasons. The king is supposed to uphold the balance of life, so keeping those two colors together is some good, subtle propaganda. I'm sure you've noticed that his expression in this version is not very positive. You'll find out more about that when the actual episode comes out, but suffice it to say for now that his ascension to the throne is not a happy one. Being a king is also very stressful, and he ascends to the throne younger than he was intended to do so. Like, he hasn't finished law school yet. So, it's gonna be a lot when he has to take the throne. I also completely forgot to write down in my script about his magic. I still have to refine that and stuff. Hang on, give me a sec. Let me write some more into the script real quick to get my thoughts in order. And I'm back. Dream won't be getting any colored magic. White magic only ever appears in the form of bullets in the original game, which is a magic type that all monsters can use. Instead, Dream's soul trait of hope is used more for support. In the final boss fight of the pacifist route, there is an action you can take called Hope that fills your items tab with dreams that can be consumed to heal you. Dream's soul trait gives him the same action. Dream's second soul trait of determination is also incapable of producing colored magic. Red does appear within some of the in-game fights, but only ever as a warning for extremely powerful attacks. The protagonist's soul is red, so to me this implies that the red warnings are coming from their own soul to protect them. I'm going to have this be one of Dream's abilities. His soul trait gives him a visible warning before more powerful attacks are used, so he can more easily dodge them. Determination also has one other really cool ability, and that is the ability to manipulate time. If Dream's soul was entirely red, he would have the ability to reset the timeline and start from the beginning of the story. Since he's only got half a red soul, he can only rewind enough to keep himself alive. He cannot be killed. He will always rewind to 1 hit point. He can't use any time manipulation when he's alive though, only when he's dead. That's all I have for today. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and a very special thank you to my financial supporters, JRDS, Mercer Scott Holt, Stephen Drake, J Draws, and Silent Stabby. You're all the greatest. Commission me, bye.